That's the big question, isn't it? That lots of people are saying, "Oh, this is symbolic. He's, never. It's a sort of publicity stunt. He's never going to end up in the dock." But Karim Khan points out, people said that about Slobodan Milosevic, the Serbian leader. They said that about Charles Taylor, the Liberian president, who's also a sitting president. And yet they did end up in the dock being tried. And in fact, Charles Taylor is in prison in Durham in the UK now. So, it's not impossible, but I think most people would doubt that's going to happen anytime in the near future.
Why now? Is it just that they have managed to get enough evidence to feel that they can issue this arrest warrant? I'm just wondering if there is a significance of the timing.
I think he feels that the court has been very slow in the past, and he says it shouldn't take decades after conflicts for things to be prosecuted for. So he was very keen. He says the law should be on the front line too, and that they should be agile and trying to prosecute to stop things happening more. So their hope is by highlighting this issue of the abductions now, that will stop any more of this happening. And it was something, I asked why particularly this issue, because obviously there's so many allegations, executions of prisoners of war, tortures, killings, rapes, bombings of power station, bombings of residential buildings, and many other war crimes that they could have included. But this, is quite specific. It's something that's been happening since the beginning. He said, it's clearly systematic, and also something oddly that the Russians have been quite public about. They've paraded these children that they've abducted and said that they are abandoned children and that this is a sort of humanitarian thing they're doing, rescuing them from Ukraine. But in fact, many of these children have parents or were in orphanages that they just abducted the whole orphanage.
It is just utterly heartbreaking. And, you've brought us those stories here on the programme. We've seen the images on TV of the reunions, and it is utterly heartbreaking what these families are going through. Talk to us about the significance of this arrest warrant, because it is going to place, significant limits on Putin's ability to travel, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is the two big impacts. One is, it makes him a pariah. That's why the Kremlin was so furious at this. It classes him with people like I've mentioned, Milosevic, Charles Taylor, others. But also does mean that the court has 123 signatories to it. And so any of those countries, be they in Latin America, Europe, Africa, Asia, that Putin decides to go to, they would be obliged to arrest him and hand him over to the court. And also any other country can do it. It doesn't have to be a member state.
You've mentioned the criticisms of the International Criminal Court, the huge amount of money that has been spent and the relatively low number of convictions and trials. There is actually a lot at stake for the ICC here, isn't there?
Yes, there is. I think, Karim Khan, when he was elected on a sort of platform of change and reform. And, he says we can't keep saying never again, as was said after the Holocaust, and then making it an empty promise. It has to be something that people know that they will pay if they carry out these kind of things. And the hope is by making that happen, it will deter other people, because there is a feeling at the moment that you can get away with anything. I particularly focus on rape in war in my reporting, and over the last 20 years that court has existed, hundreds of thousands of women and girls and men and boys have been raped around the world, and yet only one person has been convicted for that, which is absolutely outrageous.
Does Karim Khan have any concerns about one view which is being put forward, that this just kind of plays to the Russian narrative, that the West is against Russia, they're being victimised? Is that, I'm presuming that's not a consideration, but does it concern them?
Well, he says, what they're doing is nothing to do with politics. It's all about evidence. They collect evidence, he presents and submits it to the judges, and then they decide whether it warrants putting out an arrest warrant or not. And in this case, they obviously did. So I don't think that political considerations really play in what they are doing.